Mind waves of power. Introduction. What if the true source of your power isn't outside of you in money, status, or approval, but inside, hidden within the waves of your mind? Mind waves of power is your guide to discovering and mastering the invisible energy you create with every thought, feeling, and belief. This book will take you on a transformative journey through the science, spirituality, and psychology of your mental waves, showing you how to tune your inner frequency to attract success, healing, and deep fulfillment. Whether you're battling self-doubt, stuck in old patterns, or craving a breakthrough, you'll learn how to harness the tremendous power of your mind's waves to shift your reality from the inside out. Packed with real-life stories, emotional insights, and practical challenges, this book will awaken your inner architect and inspire you to become unstoppable, unapologetically you. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. Your unshakable mind wave is waiting. Chapter 1. The power hidden inside your mind. Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and the entire energy shifts? Why some people seem to attract opportunities, deep connections, and moments of synchronicity as if the universe bends to greet them while others stay trapped in cycles of scarcity, anxiety, and quiet desperation? And what if I told you the difference is not luck, education, or even hard work, but the invisible waves of thought and emotion they broadcast every single day without even realizing it? Because your mind is not just a tool for logical processing or remembering passwords. It is an energy field constantly sending out vibrations, frequencies, and pulses that shape your reality moment by moment. And for most of us, this power remains hidden, buried under the noise of doubt, fear, and the opinions of others. But if you could see your thoughts as waves moving outward, impacting every conversation, every choice, every opportunity, you would understand why learning to harness the power hidden inside your mind is the key to creating the life you deeply desire. Because most people believe change begins with forcing new actions. But true, lasting change begins within, in the quiet spaces between thoughts where your truest power lives, where you decide what reality you will align with before you ever take a step. And maybe you're thinking, how can my thoughts truly shape my life when I'm stuck in bills, heartbreak, and the weight of a world that feels heavy? But consider this. The thoughts you think create emotions. Those emotions generate actions, and those actions, repeated, become your life. And it all begins with the invisible waves your mind creates when you wake up in the morning and decide whether you will approach your day with possibility or fear, whether you will notice beauty or problems, whether you will allow yourself to believe you are worthy or continue the silent war against yourself. And this chapter is your invitation to become conscious of the power already within you. Because when you learn to observe your thoughts without judgment, to redirect your mind waves toward gratitude, faith, clarity, and aligned vision, you begin to shift your frequency. And when you shift your frequency, you begin to attract, notice, and create different opportunities. Because like radio signals, your mind can only tune into what it is aligned with. So if your inner signal is tuned to not enough, fear, lack, your reality will reflect those waves back to you in the form of missed chances, draining relationships, and a constant sense of inner tension. But if you begin, even softly, to retune your inner signal to growth, faith, abundance, possibility, you will see your life begin to mirror that energy. Often in small, quiet ways at first, like meeting a person who opens a door, finding a piece of clarity in the middle of confusion, or noticing your inner resistance softening as you learn to trust yourself again, and the first step to awakening. The power hidden inside your mind is to simply pause and notice the waves you are sending out right now in this breath. Because even now, your mind is creating, attracting, and shaping what comes next. So ask yourself, what frequency am I living on right now, and is it aligned with the life I desire? Because the mind's power is not about forcing positivity or ignoring challenges. It is about becoming the conscious architect of your inner world. About learning to hold the vision of who you want to become while taking aligned, grounded actions. In the physical world, about learning to meet fear with curiosity and replace the inner critic with an inner coach who reminds you that you are capable, worthy, and powerful beyond what you can currently imagine. And if you take nothing else from this chapter, let it be this. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally once you learn to tune it, and within you lies an ocean of untapped power, ready to ripple outward into your health, your relationships, your finances, your purpose, and your legacy, and you get to decide, today, in this moment, whether you will keep your mind's power hidden beneath layers of fear and habit, or whether you will rise and learn to ride the mind waves of power that are your birthright. And here is your first challenge as you continue this journey. Spend the next 24 hours simply noticing your thoughts, noticing your emotions, noticing the waves you are broadcasting into every moment, without judgment, only with deep curiosity. And ask yourself throughout the day, are these waves creating the life I desire? And if not, what small shift can I make right now? Because your mind waves are your true power. And today is the day you begin to claim them. Chapter 2. Tuning into your inner frequency. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift before a single word was spoken? Sensed when someone was angry, even if they were smiling, or felt an unexplainable peace around certain people? And have you ever wondered why some people naturally attract opportunities, deep conversations, and moments of aligned synchronicity, while others remain stuck in cycles of chaos and frustration? Because the truth is that you, like a finely tuned instrument, carry an inner frequency that speaks louder than your words, shaping the quality of your relationships, the direction of your goals, and the opportunities that appear in your life. And most people live disconnected from this truth, stuck in survival mode, letting the noise of the world drown out the quiet signals of their intuition, forgetting that the mind is not just a processor of thoughts, but an antenna that broadcasts and receives frequencies that align with the emotions and beliefs you carry every day. And maybe you, like many, have felt that nagging feeling inside when something is off. Like taking a job that looks good on paper, but feels heavy in your chest. Or staying in a relationship that drains you while you force yourself to smile. And these are signals from your inner frequency, telling you that your energy is not aligned with your actions, that your spirit is quietly asking for a shift. And the art of tuning into your inner frequency begins when you learn to slow down enough to feel, to listen, to become intimate with the sensations in your body, the whispers of your intuition, the subtle pulls toward what feels light, and the gentle resistance toward what feels heavy. Because your inner frequency is always speaking the most. People drown it out with overthinking, scrolling, numbing distractions, and fear of the unknown. And if you truly wish to ride the mind waves of power, you must learn to tune yourself like a musician tuning an instrument, carefully, intentionally, and with deep awareness, because the frequency you hold determines the reality you attract. And if your frequency is fear, you will find reasons to be afraid. If your frequency is abundance, you will find opportunities for growth. If your frequency is peace, you will find clarity, even in storms. And tuning your frequency is not about denying reality or forcing toxic positivity, but about aligning your inner world so you can respond to life from a place of clarity and power, not reactivity and fear. And you might be asking, how do I tune into my inner frequency when life feels chaotic? Bills are piling up, and the noise of the world is so loud? And the answer is simpler than it seems. You begin by pausing, breathing, and observing, taking a moment each day to close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart and ask, what am I feeling right now? and what am I broadcasting into the world? And notice without judgment, because awareness is the first act of power. And from this awareness, you can begin to shift, to intentionally generate gratitude even in small things, to hold visions of the life you want, to notice the people, environments, and habits that drain your energy, and to courageously begin to let go of what is misaligned. Because tuning into your inner frequency often requires letting go of people-pleasing, saying no when your spirit says no, saying yes to opportunities that scare you but feel aligned, and building a relationship with yourself rooted in honesty. Because when you are out of tune with yourself, you will feel drained, resentful, disconnected, and confused. But when you are in tune, you will experience a quiet power, a calm certainty, a sense that you are exactly where you need to be while moving toward where you desire to go. And this frequency becomes your compass, guiding you through decisions, attracting aligned people, and creating momentum that feels almost magical. And this chapter is your reminder that your inner frequency is not static. It can be raised, aligned, and strengthened. And as you learn to listen to your intuition, to follow what feels light and truthful, you begin to live in alignment with your highest energy, and life responds to you in kind. So today, your challenge is to take 5 minutes to sit in stillness, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what frequency am I living on right now? And what small action can I take today to align with the frequency of the life I desire? Because the mind waves of power begin with tuning into your inner frequency. And as you master this art, you will begin to feel the world within and around you shift in extraordinary ways. Chapter 3. Breaking free from mental noise. There is a constant hum inside your mind, a chatter that begins the moment you wake up and checks your phone before your feet hit the floor, whispering about what needs to be done, what went wrong yesterday, what might go wrong tomorrow. And this mental noise has become so normal that you barely notice it anymore, like a low static in the background of your life, draining your energy and keeping you stuck in loops of anxiety, comparison, and distraction. And it's no wonder you feel tired even after a full night's sleep, because your mind is like an overworked radio, tuned to every station at once, flipping between worries about money, the past, the future, how you look, what they think, and what you wish you'd said. But the truth is, this noise is not you. It's just layers of programming, expectations, and unresolved fears that have built up over the years. And to step into the power of your mind waves, you must learn to break free from this constant mental noise, to reclaim the silence that is your true home, your power source, your place of clarity and peace. And maybe you're thinking, how can I find silence when life is loud, when responsibilities are heavy, when the world demands so much of me? But silence does not mean the absence of sound. It means the presence of awareness, the ability to observe your thoughts without being swept away by them, to notice the noise but not become the noise. And one morning you may notice it as you sip your coffee in the quiet before the world wakes. That moment when you are simply here, not solving, not scrolling, not rehearsing arguments in your head. And in that breath, you realize that you are more than the noise, that your mind is not your master, that you can choose to pause, to breathe, to let the thoughts pass like clouds across a vast sky. And as you practice this, even for a few minutes each day, you will notice a space opening inside you, a spaciousness where creativity, intuition, and peace can enter, where the solutions you've been seeking can finally be heard. Because it's not that your mind needs to be silent forever, but that you learn to create pockets of stillness, moments of presence, where you return to yourself and to the power that lives beneath the chatter. And when you do, you will find your energy returning, your focus sharpening, your emotional storms calming, because much of your exhaustion is not from what you do, but from the noise in your head about what you're doing. the constant judging, doubting, and second-guessing that drains your life force. And as you learn to break free from mental noise, you reclaim your energy, your presence, your ability to live fully here and now. And here is your invitation to create small rituals of silence in your day, moments when you close your eyes. Take a deep breath and ask, what am I thinking right now? And does this thought serve the life I want to create? And if it doesn't, you let it pass. You bring your focus back to your breath, to the feeling of your feet on the floor, to the beauty around you. Because in these moments, you are training your mind to return to the present, to stop living in a future that hasn't arrived or a past that cannot be changed. And this practice is not a luxury. It is essential because clarity, creativity, and true power live in the quiet spaces. And if you truly want to harness the mind waves of power, you must learn to quiet the noise, to become the calm in the middle of the storm, to trust that you can handle life more effectively from a place of inner stillness than from the frantic noise of fear. And today, your challenge is simple yet powerful. Take 5 minutes to sit in silence, to notice the noise, to breathe deeply, and to remind yourself that you are not the noise. You are the awareness behind it. And as you continue to build this practice, you will find that the mind's noise no longer controls you. And in the silence, you will discover your true power, your intuition, your wisdom, and the calm confidence to move through life with purpose and peace. Because breaking free from mental noise is not about escaping life. It is about finally beginning to live it. Chapter 4. The Science of Thought Waves. Imagine your mind as a broadcasting tower, sending invisible waves of thought into the world with every belief you hold, every fear you feed, every hope you dare to nurture. And while it might sound like spiritual poetry, the truth is science now reveals your thoughts are not just private whispers trapped in your skull, but measurable electrical and magnetic signals that extend beyond your body into the field around you, creating patterns that can be tracked, studied, and understood. And every thought you think sends out a frequency that interacts with the world around you, shaping your reality in ways you may not even notice, because inside your brain are billions of neurons firing electrical impulses, creating brain waves that vibrate at specific frequencies. Beta when you're focused or stressed, alpha when you're relaxed, theta when you're drifting into dreams, delta when you are deeply asleep. And these frequencies don't just stay in your head. They ripple outward, influencing your mood, your health, your perception, and even your environment. And when you think of a joyful moment, your brain creates a cascade of chemicals that shift your body's chemistry, releasing dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, while a fearful thought can flood your system with cortisol and adrenaline, shifting your breathing, your heart rate, your immune response, and your energy field, which means every thought you think is a wave of energy impacting your body, your mind, and the space around you. And you might wonder why some people seem to walk through life with luck, ease, and aligned opportunities, while others struggle through constant resistance. But if you understand the science of thought waves, you begin to see that your consistent thoughts create a dominant frequency, and that frequency influences what you notice, how you react, and what you attract, like a radio tuning into a specific station while filtering out others. And if your dominant thoughts are rooted in fear and limitation, you tune into the energy of problems, obstacles, and scarcity. But if you train your mind to cultivate gratitude, faith, and possibility, your brain shifts, your nervous system calms, and your awareness expands to notice opportunities, solutions, and connections that were there all along, hidden beneath the noise. And even quantum physics hints at this connection, as the observer effect shows that the act of observation changes the outcome of what is being observed, implying that your attention is not passive but a creative force, collapsing potentials into realities, which is why learning to direct your thoughts is not just a motivational idea, but a practical, science-backed strategy for changing your life. Because your mind is not simply a recording device, it is a transmitter and receiver, broadcasting your beliefs while picking up the resonance of similar frequencies around you. And this is why when you think about a person, sometimes they call, or why when you focus on negativity, you seem to spiral into a bad day. And when you choose to see blessings, you notice more blessings, because your thought waves are constantly creating a feedback loop with your environment. And the question you need to ask yourself is, what frequencies am I sending out into the world? And are they aligned with the life I want to live? Because when you realize you are not a victim of your mind, but the driver of it, you reclaim your power to create change from the inside out, and you can begin to train your thought waves, just like you train a muscle. Through daily practice, meditation, mindfulness, and conscious awareness, shifting from unconscious reactivity to intentional creation. And the more you practice, the more your brain rewires itself, strengthening pathways of gratitude, courage, and faith while weakening the pathways of fear, doubt, and lack. And this process is not instant. But every small, intentional thought you choose becomes a wave of power that ripples into your life, influencing your health, your relationships, your opportunities, and your sense of peace. And as you continue this journey with me, remember that understanding the science of thought waves is not about magical thinking, but about taking radical responsibility for your inner world, knowing that every wave you send matters. Every thought is energy, every frequency creates, and today, you have the choice to shift your mind waves toward power, alignment, and abundance. So I leave you with this question. If your thoughts are waves creating your reality, what wave will you choose to send out into the world today? Chapter 5. Rewiring your inner conversations. There is a conversation happening inside your mind every moment you are awake. A constant stream of commentary that judges, doubts, plans, worries, and narrates your life with a tone you may not even notice because it's been with you for so long. It sounds like the truth. But if you pause right now and listen, truly listen, you will hear how your inner conversations shape the way you feel about yourself, the way you walk into a room, the way you handle rejection, love, money, health, and the way you carry your dreams. And maybe no one ever told you that the voice inside is not a fact, but a pattern. Not a prophecy, but a habit built from your past, your parents' words, your teachers' criticisms, your moments of fear, and the stories you absorbed before you had the wisdom to question them. And if your inner conversation constantly whispers, "You're not good enough. You always mess up. Nobody really cares," then those words become a spell, an invisible script directing your choices, draining your energy, and blocking your power. But here is the freedom. You can rewire that conversation. You can interrupt a critic with curiosity. You can challenge the harshness with compassion. And you can replace the old tape with a new declaration that is rooted in truth and possibility. Because your mind believes what it hears repeatedly. And for too long, you have let your inner dialogue be hijacked by fear and scarcity, letting it tell you who you are and what you are allowed to have, when in reality, you are allowed to rewrite the script and reclaim your narrative. And it begins in the smallest, quietest moments, like when you make a mistake and the old voice says, "See, you're a failure." You pause and breathe and respond. Mistakes are part of growth. I am learning. I am allowed to grow. Or when you feel fear about taking a step forward and the old voice says, "Don't try. You'll look stupid." You answer back, "Trying is courage. I am proud of my courage." And while it may feel awkward at first, like speaking a new language, every time you interrupt the old critic and replace it with a kinder, stronger, truer voice, you create new neural pathways. You strengthen a new pattern, and you slowly transform your inner conversation from a source of sabotage into a source of power. And you will notice it in the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to challenges, the way you hold eye contact, the way you allow yourself to take up space. And you will notice your energy shifting, your confidence growing, your ability to navigate setbacks without spiraling, because you are no longer letting the harsh voice run your life on autopilot. Instead, you are becoming the conscious author of your inner world, because your inner conversation is the foundation of your external reality. The tone of your mind becomes the tone of your actions, and the tone of your actions becomes the texture of your life. And if you want to live in peace, purpose, and aligned power, you must learn to speak to yourself with the respect and encouragement you wish to receive from the world. Because you are listening to yourself every moment. And if you spoke to a friend the way you speak to yourself, would that friend feel safe, loved, encouraged, and inspired, or would they feel small, ashamed, and defeated? And if you wouldn't, say it to a friend. Why say it to yourself? And this chapter is your invitation to become radically aware of the words you feed your mind, to begin replacing criticism with curiosity, harshness with compassion, doubt with possibility, and fear with faith, because you are worthy of your own kindness. You are deserving of your own encouragement, and you are powerful enough to choose thoughts that align with your highest self. So here is your practice for today. Catch the next negative inner statement you hear. Pause, breathe, and gently reframe it into a statement of truth, strength, and hope. Because every time you do, you are rewiring your inner conversations to align with the life you desire. And the mind waves of power you are meant to broadcast into the world begin here, with the conversations you have with yourself in the quiet moments when no one else is listening, reminding you that your words shape your world, and you get to choose them. Starting now. Chapter 6. The Art of Mental Stillness. There is a moment before dawn when the world holds its breath. The air hushed, the sky a soft promise, and in that fragile silence, there is a deep power waiting to be claimed. Yet most of us miss it because we wake up reaching for our phones, for yesterday's worries, for tomorrow's fears, letting our minds become a battleground before our feet even touch the floor. And what if I told you that learning the art of mental stillness is one of the greatest powers you will ever cultivate? Because while the world teaches us to hustle, to chase, to do more, your mind is quietly craving space to breathe, to reset, to align. And there was a man I once met who had lost everything: his marriage, his business, his health. And when I asked him what turned his life around, he said it wasn't another strategy, another book, another hustle. But the morning he sat alone on the floor, closed his eyes, and decided to listen, to truly listen, to the quiet voice within that had been drowned out by the noise of fear and proving and pleasing. And in that silence he heard, "You are still here, and that is enough to begin again." And that was the day he chose to practice mental stillness. 5 minutes, then 10, then 20, until it became his sanctuary, his place of power, his inner home. Because mental stillness is not about emptying your mind of thoughts or forcing yourself to be calm. It is about creating space between your thoughts, the way a musician creates music with the pauses between the notes. The way an artist leaves empty space on a canvas so the color can breathe. And in that space, clarity begins to bloom. Intuition speaks softly. Your body releases tension. And you remember who you are beyond the swirling narratives of fear and comparison. Because your mind waves, when calmed through stillness, begin to harmonize with creativity, with healing, with deeper awareness. And science has shown that in moments of mental stillness, your brain's default mode network quiets, stress hormones lower, and your body moves into a state of repair, allowing you to think clearer, feel calmer, and act from alignment rather than reactivity. But stillness is an art, and like any art, it requires practice, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. Because when you first begin, the mind will resist, throwing you every reason to get up, check your phone, or replay old conversations. But if you can sit, breathe, and notice without judgment, you will begin to feel a subtle shift, a softening, a widening of your inner space. And from that space, your decisions will become wiser, your reactions gentler, your energy clearer. And you will find that what used to drain you no longer holds power over you, because you have learned to return to your center, to your breath, to your unshakable inner stillness. And you will discover that the greatest ideas often arrive in silence. The deepest healings happen when you are still enough to feel what needs to be felt. And your purpose becomes clear when you can hear the whispers of your own soul. So today, let this be your practice. Find 5 minutes, sit comfortably, close your eyes, and simply notice your breath as it enters and leaves, letting thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky, returning your focus gently to your breath each time you wander. And let this be enough, because stillness is not something you master in a day. It is a relationship you build with yourself, and the more you practice, the more you will find that mental stillness is not about escaping the world, but about returning to it with clarity, purpose, and unshakable presence, so you can lead, love, and create from a place of power. And if you find yourself resisting stillness, ask yourself, what am I afraid I will feel if I stop moving? What truth might I hear in the silence? And am I willing to meet that truth with compassion? Because the art of mental stillness is the art of meeting yourself as you are, without judgment, without rush. And in that meeting, you will find the calm, focused, powerful mind waves that will guide you toward the life you desire. Chapter 7. Emotional Energy and Your Mind. Waves. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the heaviness of unspoken tension before a single word was said? Or felt instantly lighter around someone whose calm and joy seemed to lift your own energy? And have you ever wondered why your mind can feel sharp and clear on some days, but foggy and scattered on others, even if nothing external has changed? Because here is the truth you were never taught in school. Your emotions are energy, measurable and real, vibrating through your nervous system and radiating outward in waves that shape not only how you think but what you attract, repel, or create in your daily life. And when your emotional energy is low, when resentment, fear, shame, or suppressed grief are stuck within you, your mind waves become cloudy, slow, erratic, making even small decisions feel heavy, draining your motivation and dimming your sense of possibility. But when you learn to acknowledge, move, and elevate your emotional energy, you clear the static in your mental frequency, allowing your mind waves to align with clarity, creativity, and flow. And you may not realize it, but your emotions are not obstacles to your power. They are the fuel for it, because every thought carries an emotional charge, and that charge determines the strength of the wave you send out into the world. And if you are thinking about your dreams with fear, the wave you emit is resistance. But if you think about your dreams with excitement and trust, the wave you emit is magnetic. And here is where many people get stuck. They believe controlling their mind means ignoring their emotions, forcing positivity over hidden wounds. But in truth, your emotional energy needs to be felt, understood, and transmuted. Because ignoring sadness does not make it go away. It buries it, creating a slow leak in your energy field that drains your confidence and clarity without you even realizing it. But when you learn to pause, breathe, and ask, what am I truly feeling right now? You bring awareness to your emotional state, and with awareness comes choice, and with choice comes power. And one of the most transformative practices you can begin today is to sit quietly for a few moments each morning and scan your emotional field without judgment, naming what you feel, breathing into it, and allowing it to move through you rather than calcify within you, because emotions are meant to move, to be felt and released. And when you allow this flow, your mind waves become clearer, stronger, and aligned with your deepest intentions. And here is the emotional hook you need to remember. Your emotions are not your weakness. They are the amplifier of your mind's power. And the more you learn to care for your emotional energy, the more powerful and consistent your mental frequency becomes, allowing you to hold your vision, take aligned action, and remain steady. Even when the world outside is chaotic, because the calm you seek is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of your emotional waves. And here is your reflection for today. What emotion have you been resisting or suppressing, and how is it affecting your thoughts, decisions, and energy? And what would shift if you allowed yourself to feel it fully? Breathe with it, and let it teach you what it needs you to know. Because every emotion carries information, every feeling holds a message. And when you learn to listen, you gain wisdom that strengthens your mind waves. And you may find that your anger is a sign you need to set boundaries, your sadness a call to slow down and nurture yourself, your fear a doorway to courage if you walk through it. And as you learn to transmute emotional energy, your mind waves will begin to reflect your true essence rather than your unprocessed pain, allowing you to radiate the frequency of your vision into the world, attract opportunities aligned with your purpose, and experience a sense of calm power that becomes unshakable regardless of what life brings. So today, as you continue your journey into the mind waves of power, remember that your emotions are your teachers, your fuel, and your signal to what needs healing. And as you honor them, you honor yourself. And as you honor yourself, you step into the quiet power of a mind and heart aligned, ready to shape your life with intention and courage. And ask yourself before you sleep tonight, what emotional energy did I carry today? And is it aligned with the life I am choosing to create? Because your emotional energy is not separate from your mind waves. It is the music that makes your waves dance, and you hold the power to tune it, one breath, one feeling, one choice at a time. Chapter 8. How Beliefs Shape Your Reality. There is a moment in every person's life, often quiet and almost invisible, when they realize that the beliefs they carry are the true architects of their reality, that underneath every choice, every reaction, every fear, and every dream lies a belief silently dictating what is possible, what is worthy, what is safe, and what is true. And many of these beliefs are not yours. They were handed to you by parents who loved you but were afraid, by teachers who told you to be realistic, by a culture that profits from your self-doubt, and by moments of pain that made you build walls to protect yourself. And yet here's the powerful, humbling truth. What you believe about yourself, your worth, your potential, your future, your relationships, and your capacity to heal and rise will shape what you see, what you attract, and what you allow yourself to receive in this life. Because your beliefs are like a filter placed over your mind's lens, and you will only notice, respond to, and call in the experiences that match the frequency of that filter. So if you believe you are unworthy, you will unconsciously sabotage opportunities that require you to step into your worth. If you believe people can't be trusted, you will push away those who try to love you while clinging to relationships that confirm your fear. If you believe you're destined to struggle, you will miss doors of ease and flow that appear before you because they do not match your internal narrative. And this is not your fault. It is the nature of the mind to seek confirmation for its beliefs, to avoid cognitive dissonance, to protect your sense of identity. And yet, once you understand this, you reclaim your power to change your life from the inside out. Because shifting your beliefs is not about forcing yourself to recite affirmations you don't believe while ignoring the pain that shaped them. It is about gently, courageously questioning the stories you have been telling yourself, asking, who taught me this? And is this belief serving the life I want to create? And is it absolutely true? And you may find, with tears and laughter, that many of your beliefs were built when you were too young to understand your power, that you decided you were unlovable because of one rejection, that you decided money was evil because of witnessing struggle, that you decided you could not trust your voice because it was once silenced. But today you are no longer that child, and you have the power to choose new beliefs that align with the life you are ready to live. Beliefs that support your healing, your abundance, your courage, and your joy. And it begins with awareness. With the willingness to pause when you feel resistance and ask, what belief is creating this fear right now? And it begins with compassion, understanding that your mind adopted these beliefs to protect you, to help you make sense of a confusing world. And now you can thank those beliefs for their service, while choosing to replace them with those aligned with your growth. And here is the secret many never understand. Your mind waves broadcast the frequency of your beliefs into every action. And those beliefs then pull experiences back to you that match that vibration. And you are not stuck unless you believe you are stuck. You are not unworthy unless you believe you are unworthy. You are not powerless unless you believe you are powerless. And you may not be responsible for the beliefs you inherited, but you are responsible for choosing whether to keep them. Because your beliefs shape your perception. Your perception shapes your actions. Your actions shape your outcomes, and your outcomes reinforce your beliefs in a loop that either keeps you trapped or sets you free. And if you want to change your life, you must begin with your beliefs, upgrading them one gentle step at a time. And your challenge today is to write down 3 beliefs you hold about yourself or the world that are limiting you, and then write 3 beliefs you choose to replace them with. Even if you do not fully believe them yet, and read them aloud each morning, reminding your mind waves of the new frequency you are choosing, because the beliefs you hold become the life you live. And when you change your beliefs, you change your energy, your actions, your results, and your destiny. And if there's one truth to carry from this chapter, it is this: your beliefs are not facts. They are choices, and today you can choose the beliefs that align with the reality you are ready to create. Because you are the artist of your mind waves, the sculptor of your inner world, and the author of your becoming. Chapter 9. Releasing limiting patterns. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a loop, repeating the same mistakes, feeling like no matter how hard you try, something invisible holds you back? Like an invisible chain forged by old beliefs, fears, or past hurts that whisper, you can't, you're not enough, or this will never change. And maybe you've wondered where these invisible chains come from, how they embed themselves so deeply into your mind waves that they seem to become part of your identity. But what if I told you these limiting patterns are not your truth? They are learned programs, echoes of old experiences that you have unconsciously accepted as facts, like a default mental software that runs quietly in the background, shaping your perceptions, your choices, and your energy without your permission. And the paradox is that these patterns often feel familiar, even comforting in a twisted way, because they give you a predictable script to follow, a story where you know your role, even if it's painful, even if it's small. And breaking free means stepping into the unknown, where the mind waves you broadcast aren't conditioned by past fear, but by new possibility. And the first step to releasing these patterns is awareness, because you cannot change what you cannot see. And so this chapter begins with a question. What limiting pattern am I unconsciously carrying that no longer serves me, and how has it shaped my story? Maybe it's a story of scarcity, always believing there's never enough time, money, love, or energy. Or maybe it's a story of self-doubt, a relentless inner critic that rewrites every success as luck or accident, or a story of abandonment, where deep down you believe people will always leave or disappoint. And when these stories play out beneath your conscious mind, they create a mental prison, keeping your mind waves trapped on a frequency of limitation. But here's the good news. Your mind waves are not fixed. They are fluid and responsive, and just as a radio can be retuned from static to clear music, Your brain can be rewired to release these limiting patterns and replace them with empowering ones. But that rewiring begins with gentle but radical honesty, with naming the story you're living, and then choosing to question it relentlessly. Because what if the truths you've held are not facts but interpretations that can be revised? To release limiting patterns is to step into a sacred space of curiosity where you ask, what if I don't have to believe this anymore? What if my worth is not tied to past failures? What if abundance, love, and success are not out of reach but waiting on a new frequency? And when you start asking these questions, you create cracks in the mental chains. And those cracks let in light, new ideas, new energy, and the possibility to shift your mind waves toward freedom. But releasing limiting patterns also requires compassionate action, not beating yourself up for having them, but loving yourself enough to say, I deserve better. I choose better. And sometimes that means reaching out for support. Learning new tools like meditation, journaling, or therapy. And sometimes it means practicing new mind waves daily through affirmations, visualization, and small courageous acts that contradict the old script. And every time you do, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind that says, I am ready to change, and the universe responds in kind, matching your new frequency with new opportunities, insights, and connections. And as you release these limiting patterns, you start to feel lighter, freer, more alive, because you are no longer held hostage by invisible chains, but are dancing in the waves of possibility, creating space for your authentic self to emerge, to be seen, to be heard, and to thrive. And the final truth of this chapter is this: no pattern, no matter how deeply ingrained, is permanent unless you feed it. And when you consciously decide to starve those limiting waves and nourish empowering ones, your mind becomes a powerful instrument of transformation. And here is your challenge moving forward. Take a moment today to identify one limiting pattern you want to release. Write it down, say it aloud, and then ask yourself, what is one small action I can take right now to begin shifting this pattern? Because the power to rewrite your mind waves is already within you, waiting for your brave, conscious choice to release the old and embrace the new. Chapter 10. The Energy of Your Words. Have you ever paused to consider that the words you speak each day are not just sounds, but powerful waves of energy that ripple through your life and beyond, shaping not only your own reality, but also the feelings, actions, and futures of those around you? Because words carry vibration, frequency, and intention that move far past their dictionary definitions. And many of us underestimate the incredible power hidden in the language. We use the quiet messages we send to ourselves in the mirror and the loud declarations we make to the world. And this power is not limited to positive affirmations or motivational slogans, but exists in every sentence you utter or write. Whether it's a gentle "I'm proud of you" that breathes life into a weary soul, or a careless criticism that plants a seed of doubt. And the truth is, the energy of your words shapes the atmosphere in your home, the quality of your relationships, the resilience of your mindset, and even the health of your body. Because science now shows that words can influence hormones, immune responses, and neural pathways, making the case that your language literally rewires your brain's chemistry. Yet in a culture that often prizes quick, harsh, or defensive speech, many of us fall into patterns of speaking from reactivity or fear, sending out waves of negativity that trap us in cycles of conflict, misunderstanding, and self-sabotage. And so the first step to reclaiming the energy of your words is to slow down and become conscious of what you are really transmitting when you speak to yourself, to others, and in your mind's internal dialogue, because the intention behind your words colors the vibration they carry. And when you begin to choose words with awareness, you begin to shift your energy and your world. Imagine the transformational power in consciously weaving words of kindness, encouragement, and truth not only toward others, but especially toward yourself, replacing the inner critic's sharp waves with an inner voice that soothes and inspires. Because your mind is always listening, always absorbing the waves of your words. And over time, these waves create your self-image, your confidence, and your capacity to dream and achieve. And it's important to realize that this is not about pretending to be positive or forcing fake happiness, but about cultivating a deep respect for the sacred, energy in your language, and honoring the power you hold as a creator of your internal and external realities. So this chapter invites you to experiment with a radical awareness of the words you use today, to notice which words lift your spirit and which words weigh it down, to observe the impact your words have on your own heart and those of people around you. Because when you speak words that align with your highest truth and deepest values, you amplify your inner power and magnetize the life you want to live. And it is in this alignment that your mind waves ripple outward like a stone dropped into a still lake, creating circles of influence that extend far beyond what you imagine. Whether it's in healing a strained relationship, inspiring a friend, or reclaiming your own voice after years of silence, the energy of your words is your bridge from who you are now to who you are becoming. And so here is your challenge. 4. The next day, become a mindful guardian of your speech pause before speaking or typing and ask yourself, what energy am I sending with these words? Are they building or breaking? Healing or hurting? Elevating or diminishing? And with this practice, you will begin to see your relationships deepen, your inner world stabilize, and your mind waves pulse stronger and clearer with the pure energy of intentional speech. Because your words are not just expressions. They are waves of power shaping your life's very fabric. And the moment you claim this power, your reality starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. Chapter 11. Visualization. Painting your future. Imagine sitting quietly in a sunlit room, your eyes closed, heart steady, as a vivid image begins to form in your mind. A moment in your future where everything you desire is not just a dream, but a living, breathing reality. And in this moment, you are free, successful, joyful, fully yourself. And as you paint this picture in your mind's eye, every detail bursts with color and life. The sounds, the scents, the emotions, all so real. It feels like a memory rather than a possibility. And this is the transformative power of visualization. The art of intentionally creating mental images so clear and alive that they imprint your subconscious mind with a blueprint of your desired reality. Because our minds are not designed to distinguish vividly imagined events from real ones. They respond to the feelings, images, and beliefs we cultivate within. And so when you visualize with emotion and clarity, your brain starts aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions to make that vision inevitable. Yet most people never learn to harness this because they confuse wishful thinking with purposeful seeing. They believe imagining alone is enough. Or worse, they doubt their right to dream big. But visualization is not magic. It's a powerful mental rehearsal that rewires your brain's neural pathways, strengthening your belief and commitment to your goals, quietly turning possibility into probability. And this practice has been used for centuries by athletes who see themselves winning before the game, by artists who hold their masterpiece long before the brush touches canvas, by entrepreneurs who walk through every challenge in their mind before the first real obstacle appears. And you can do this too, not by ignoring reality or pretending pain doesn't exist, but by allowing yourself to dream boldly and paint your future in such vivid detail that your subconscious mind can no longer tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined, triggering a cascade of confidence, motivation, and resilience that propels you forward even when the path gets dark. because the mind waves you send out during visualization are charged with intention and emotion, amplifying your energy and magnetism to attract opportunities and resources aligned with your vision. And while you paint your future with your mind, your actions become brushstrokes on the canvas of your life, each step closer to the picture you hold so dearly. But the key is this: visualization is not just about seeing the end goal. It's about immersing yourself in the feeling of already having arrived, the deep knowing that you are worthy, capable, and unstoppable. Because without that emotional charge, the images remain distant fantasies. But when you live in the feeling of your future now, you start acting as the person who belongs in that future, making choices and cultivating habits that echo that version of yourself. And so here is your invitation to practice today. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes and begin to paint your future with all the colors of your soul. See yourself living your dreams. Feel the joy, the pride coursing through you. And let those feelings flood your body until they become your new reality in the present moment. And when doubts arise, as they will, gently bring your focus back to the image and the feeling, because each return strengthens your mental muscles and rewires your mind waves toward power and possibility. And remember, your future is not some distant place to arrive at. It is a creative force you can begin to live from right now. So the question to hold as you open your eyes is, what picture am I choosing to paint for my life today? And am I ready to live as if it is already true? Chapter 12. Reprogramming Subconscious Scripts. Have you ever caught yourself reacting to a situation before you even had time to think? Like a knee-jerk response wired so deep it feels automatic, almost like you're not even in control. And that's because beneath your conscious awareness lives a vast library of subconscious scripts, invisible programs formed from early experiences, repeated messages, and deep-seated beliefs that run your mind and shape your life far more than you realize. And while these scripts might have once kept you safe or helped you survive, many now limit your potential, replaying fears, doubts, and old wounds like a broken record that drowns out your true voice. Yet here's the good news. These subconscious scripts are not fixed. They can be rewritten, reprogrammed, and healed, because your mind is an incredible adaptive organ designed for growth and change. And reprogramming your subconscious means stepping into the role of a conscious creator, becoming aware of the invisible narratives that have been running your life, and gently replacing them with new stories that support your highest self. But this work requires patience, self-compassion, and persistence, because these old scripts are like deeply worn grooves in a vinyl record, replaying the same tune until a new groove is carefully carved. And that's why so many struggle to shift patterns simply by telling themselves, think positive, or just change. Because the subconscious works beneath words, through repetition, feeling, and imagery. So the process begins with identifying the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible. And many times those stories are disguised as facts. I'm not good enough. I always fail. Love isn't for people like me. And the first step is shining a compassionate light on these beliefs, naming them without shame or judgment, understanding they are echoes of past conditioning, not truths etched in stone. And once you become the observer of your subconscious scripts, you can begin to rewrite them by deliberately planting new seeds through affirmations rooted in deep feeling, visualization that stirs the imagination, and consistent practice that rewires your neural pathways. So instead of running, I'm unlovable, your mind learns to run, I am worthy of deep, authentic love. And the power of this reprogramming is not just in words, but in embodying the feeling of the new script as if it's already true. Because the subconscious responds to emotion far more than logic. And when you combine daily mental rehearsal with aligned action, The old script begins to lose its grip and the new one grows stronger. Yet this is not about perfection or rushing. The process, it's about embracing the slow unfolding of transformation. Forgiving yourself when old patterns resurface, and recommitting with kindness and courage. And as you reprogram your subconscious scripts, you create new mental waves of power that ripple through your habits, your choices, and your relationships, leading you to live a life more aligned with your true potential, more free from unseen chains, and more vibrant with possibility. So here is your invitation today. Begin by journaling the stories you notice running in your mind. Then choose one limiting script to gently question and rewrite, crafting a new statement that feels both believable and inspiring, and return to it daily with patience and presence, because the mind's waves are always changing. When you choose to steer them consciously, you reclaim your power and unlock the life that has been waiting quietly within you all along. And as you close this chapter, ask yourself, which subconscious story am I ready to rewrite, and how will my life change when I do? Chapter 13. The Frequency of Gratitude. Have you ever noticed how when you truly pause to feel grateful, really let gratitude wash over you, it's like the entire world shifts in response. Colors become richer, your breath deepens, and even in moments of struggle, a subtle lightness appears that can change everything. Because gratitude is not just a polite thank you or a quick thought before sleep. It is a frequency, a powerful energetic wave your mind and heart send out that rewires your entire internal and external landscape. And yet, in the frantic pace of modern life, gratitude often gets lost under lists of what's wrong or what's missing, buried beneath anxiety about the future or regrets from the past. And that disconnection from gratitude lowers your vibration, dulls your perception, and closes the door to miracles you might otherwise see. But what if you learn to tune into gratitude as if it were a signal from a higher dimension? One that can lift your mind waves from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust, from heaviness to lightness. Because when you broadcast gratitude, you invite more to be grateful for. And science backs this up with studies showing gratitude shifts your brain chemistry, releasing dopamine and serotonin, those beautiful chemicals that make you feel happy, calm, and safe, and even strengthens your immune system. So gratitude is literally a form of self-healing, and it's also a spiritual practice that opens the heart and expands your awareness beyond the small self, connecting you to something bigger, something whole, something eternally generous. And yet, the frequency of gratitude is not always easy to access, especially when life hits hard, when loss, disappointment, or pain cloud your horizon. But here is the truth. Gratitude does not ignore hardship. It acknowledges the pain and chooses to hold both suffering and grace together, creating a new resonance, a powerful wave that can hold your wounds and also invite healing. And the challenge in the gift is to start small, to train your mind waves like a radio, gently tuning your thoughts toward what you can appreciate, even in the darkest moments, like the warmth of a cup of tea, a breath that fills your lungs, the smile of a stranger, or the resilience you find in yourself to keep showing up. And as you practice this, you will notice a profound transformation, because gratitude rewires not only what you focus on, but also how you interpret your experiences, shifting from why me to what is this teaching me, and what beauty can I find here? And when you begin to live in this frequency regularly, your mind waves synchronize with abundance, kindness, and joy, creating ripples that influence your relationships, your work, and your sense of purpose. So the frequency of gratitude is not just an emotion, but a form of power, a way of aligning your inner world with the highest good. And if you want to start tuning into this frequency today, here is a simple but profound practice. Each morning or night, write down 3 things you are grateful for, not just the big, obvious ones, but the small, overlooked moments. the tiny sparks of light in the everyday. And when you do this consistently, you will build a gratitude muscle that strengthens. Your mind waves and shifts your life from the inside out. And remember, gratitude is not about perfection or pretending life is easy. It is about choosing to live in a vibration that invites growth and healing, no matter what. So as you carry this frequency forward, ask yourself, what am I grateful for right now? Even in the messiness of life, how can I let gratitude be the wave that carries me through the storms? And how will my world change when I begin to see through the eyes of appreciation every single day? Your mind waves have the power to transform, and when gratitude becomes your signal, you open the door to a life more vibrant, connected, and alive than you ever imagined possible. Chapter 14. Aligning Thoughts with Purpose. Have you ever felt like you're running on a mental treadmill? Endlessly thinking, planning, worrying, but somehow never quite moving toward a destination that feels meaningful, as if your mind is spinning. Waves of energy that scatter in every direction, but never truly connect with the deepest desires of your soul. And maybe this feeling hits hardest in those quiet moments when the noise fades and the question rises, why am I really here? Because without purpose, your thoughts become like untuned radio waves, loud, chaotic, and ultimately empty. And yet, the moment you learn to align your thoughts with purpose, everything begins to shift, like a compass locking onto true north, guiding your mind's energy toward creating a life not just of busyness, but of profound meaning. And this alignment is far from abstract or vague. It is the most practical, powerful way to channel your mental waves so they resonate with the unique light only you can bring into the world. Because every great achievement, every profound transformation, every act of courage begins not with action alone, but with the mental blueprint of purpose. The intention set clearly in your mind that acts as a beacon through confusion, fear, and distraction. And I want you to imagine for a moment that your thoughts are like surfers catching waves. But without purpose, those surfers are lost, pulled under, exhausted, and scattered. Yet with purpose, your mind becomes a surfer who rides the biggest waves with grace, strength, and clarity, navigating challenges while moving forward toward a vision that matters deeply. So how do you begin this? Alignment when life feels overwhelming and purpose seems like a distant star. The first step is to quiet the noise by turning inward and asking the questions that matter most, not the ones your mind habitually repeats about what's missing, what went wrong, or what others expect from you, but the questions that awaken your soul, like, what lights me up even on the hardest days? What legacy do I want to leave behind? And if I could speak to myself 5 years from now, what would I say about how I use my time, energy, and thoughts? Because these questions aren't just reflections. They are the start of retuning your mental waves from random chatter into focused energy, a wave that carries intention with every crest and trough. And once you begin this practice, you'll notice a subtle but profound change. Your mind starts prioritizing what serves your purpose and letting go of what drains or distracts. And that means no longer entertaining thoughts rooted in self-doubt, comparison, or fear, but instead fostering thoughts anchored in your core values, your dreams, and your truth. And aligning your thoughts with purpose is not about perfection or relentless positivity. It's about radical honesty with yourself, about where your mind is wandering and gently guiding it back to the path that leads to your authentic life. And this is a practice, not a one-time fix, where you become the conscious surfer, learning to feel the currents, adjusting your stance, and riding each wave with increasing mastery. Because life will always throw unexpected storms and wild waves your way. But when your mind is aligned with purpose, you have an unshakable anchor and a dynamic flow working together, allowing you to navigate uncertainty with resilience and grace. And this alignment also ripples out beyond your personal life. It affects the energy you project in relationships, at work, and within your community, creating a magnetic force that draws people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your truth. And this is no coincidence, but the natural law of energetic resonance, like attracts like, and when your thoughts, feelings, and actions are harmonized with your purpose, you step into a powerful feedback loop of growth and fulfillment. So your challenge now is to pause and scan your mental waves over the past week. How much of your thought energy has been aligned with your deepest purpose? And where have you allowed distractions or doubt to steer you off course? What small practice can you introduce today to reclaim that alignment? Maybe a morning intention, journaling, meditation, or simply a moment of stillness to ask your mind where it wants to go. Because the true power of your mind waves comes alive only when they're directed by purpose. And the world is waiting for your unique wave to rise, to break through the noise, and to create an impact only you can make. So as you move forward, from this moment, ask yourself, am I thinking with purpose, or am I just thinking? And what will I choose to create with my mind waves today? Chapter 15. Manifesting through mind waves. Have you ever watched a surfer patiently wait for the perfect wave? Sensing its subtle rise beneath the vast ocean surface, feeling the energy building until then riding that wave with flow, power, and grace? Manifestation through mind waves works in much the same way. It's not about forcing or demanding what you want, but tuning your mental and emotional energy to the frequency of your desires. Because your mind is constantly emitting waves thoughts, emotions, beliefs that ripple out and attract corresponding energies. And often we think manifesting is about wishful thinking or magic, but in truth, it's the science and art of aligning your inner world with your outer reality, of becoming the surfer who senses the wave before it arrives and moves in harmony rather than resistance. And this begins by understanding that manifestation is not about conjuring something from thin air, but about clearing the internal clutter, those doubts, fears, and limiting stories that block the natural flow of possibility. For when your mind waves are chaotic and contradictory, they send confusing signals to the universe and your own subconscious, scattering your energy and keeping your dreams distant. But when your thoughts, feelings, and actions resonate together like a symphony in tune, you create a magnetic field that draws opportunities, people, and resources to you almost effortlessly. And maybe you've tried to manifest before, but felt stuck or frustrated because you focused only on what you wanted without first feeling worthy or aligned, or because you tried to control every detail instead of allowing the wave to carry you. But manifesting through mind waves invites you to cultivate deep inner trust and patience, to become the observer of your energy and intentionally steer your thoughts toward gratitude, abundance, and faith, even in the absence of visible results. Because manifestation is as much about embodying the feeling of your fulfilled desire as it is about the desire itself. And as you learn to ride these mind waves, you begin to notice subtle shifts. A phone call you didn't expect, a new idea sparked, a door cracked open where you thought walls stood, and these are the universe's gentle nudges saying you are on the right frequency. But here's the secret that many miss: manifestation requires surrender, the willingness to release control over the how and when, trusting instead that your aligned mind waves will carry you exactly where you need to go, often in ways far more magnificent than your limited mind could imagine. And this is not passive waiting, but active co-creation, where you hold your vision with unwavering clarity while moving forward with inspired action and openness. And it's a dance between intention and letting go, effort and flow, belief and allowing. So ask yourself, what energy am I putting out today? And does it match what I truly want to receive? Because every thought is a wave, every emotion a current, and together they form the ocean of your reality. And when you master manifesting through mind waves, you become less a victim of circumstance and more the artist of your own life's masterpiece, and your dreams shift from distant horizons to reachable shores. And so here is your challenge. Start each day with a clear intention, a moment of gratitude for what already is, and a mental image of what you want to manifest. Then, throughout the day, return your mind to that frequency whenever doubt or distraction arises, riding the waves with presence and faith, because your power to manifest is already pulsing within you, waiting to be unleashed on the vast ocean of possibility. Chapter 16. The Role of Faith in Mental Power. There was a moment in your life, or maybe it's coming soon, when you'll realize that faith is not about blind belief or wishful thinking, but a fierce, unshakable current running beneath your mind waves that fuels your power even when the world feels like it's collapsing. Because faith is the quiet voice that says, I don't have all the answers yet, but I trust the process. It is the steady anchor in the storm of doubt and fear that threatens to pull you under. And while science teaches us about neurons firing and brain plasticity, faith teaches us about the unseen, the energy that connects you to something bigger than yourself, to a source of inner strength that transcends logic. And this role of faith in mental power is often overlooked in a culture that prizes control and certainty above all else. Yet without faith, your mind's power is like a ship without a rudder. No matter how strong the waves you generate, you risk being lost to the currents of confusion, despair, or impatience. And maybe you've experienced this. Moments when your thoughts race with, what if it never happens? What if I'm not enough? And it feels like your mind is a battlefield between hope and fear, but faith does not erase fear. It refuses to let fear be the final word. It holds space for uncertainty and still chooses to move forward, because mental power fueled by faith is about allowing yourself to act in alignment with a vision you cannot fully see yet, to take risks, knowing you might fail, to keep creating when the results are invisible. And this is where faith becomes your most powerful mental wave. It rewires your brain to expect possibility, rewires your energy to magnetize opportunity, and rewires your spirit to endure when the night seems endless, and the stories of history, science, and personal triumph are filled with people who succeeded not because they had perfect clarity, but because they had faith in their inner guidance, faith in their resilience, faith that the next right step would appear. And the paradox of faith is that it is simultaneously the calm in the chaos and the fire that propels you forward. It holds you in place and pushes you to grow. And cultivating faith is like strengthening a muscle. It grows stronger the more you practice trust over doubt, action over stagnation, belief over cynicism. And when your mind waves carry this vibration of faith, you begin to attract moments, people, and opportunities that align with your deeper purpose. Not because of magic, but because your frequency shifts to match the frequency of possibility. So even when external circumstances scream otherwise, your internal signal remains strong and unwavering. And if you're wondering how to build this kind of faith in mental power, start small. Choose to trust your intuition on tiny decisions. Celebrate the small wins that confirm your ability to create change. Meditate on the idea that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when you can't see it, and surround yourself with stories, people, and environments that inspire belief rather than fear. Because faith is contagious and can be cultivated like a garden that blooms from your daily mental habits. And remember, faith is not a destination but a journey. It grows in the cracks of your brokenness. It shines in the moments you choose hope over despair, and it transforms the invisible waves inside your mind into a tidal wave of unstoppable power. And as you embrace faith as the core driver of your mental energy, you will find that challenges become opportunities, setbacks become lessons, and your inner world becomes a sanctuary of courage, resilience, and profound peace. And so today, as you reflect on your mind waves, ask yourself, where in my life am I withholding faith out of fear? And what would happen if I chose to trust the unseen, the unknown, and the unfolding mystery of my own power? Because the role of faith in mental power is not just to keep you afloat, it is to launch you into a life beyond your wildest imagining. Chapter 17. Building Resilience. Through thought. Have you ever watched a mighty oak weather a fierce storm, its branches bending, leaves shaking but its roots holding firm beneath the surface, unseen but unbreakable, and wondered how it stands? So strong despite the raging winds, and if you pause to listen, you might hear the lesson hidden in that quiet strength. Resilience isn't about never breaking, but about bending without losing your center. And this same power is not just for trees or heroes in stories, but it lives inside your mind, waiting for you to awaken it through the way you think, because resilience begins in the mind before it shows up in your actions. And often what breaks us is not the storm itself, but the way we interpret it in our heads. The mental stories we tell about defeat, failure, and fear that echo louder than the facts, turning a momentary setback into a permanent narrative of despair. And here's the truth that can shift your life. Your thoughts are the architects of your resilience, the waveforms that build or break your inner fortress. And when you learn to train your mind to meet challenges, not as insurmountable walls, but as invitations to grow stronger, you tap into a power that no external force can take away. And the first step to building resilience through thought is to recognize that your mind is a garden where both weeds and flowers grow, and you get to choose which seeds you water daily, because every thought you nurture expands into a reality you inhabit. And if you repeatedly tell yourself, I can't, this is too hard, or I'm not enough, your mind will send out waves that attract struggle and overwhelm. But if you choose instead to water thoughts like, I am learning, I am growing through this, and this challenge is temporary, you cultivate a mental environment where resilience blooms. And resilience is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about feeling deeply, processing honestly, and then choosing to keep moving forward despite discomfort. Because resilience is the quiet courage of returning to your center, even when everything around you shakes. And maybe you remember a time when you failed or rejected and thought it was the end of the road. Yet somehow you found the strength to stand up the next day, brush yourself off, and keep going. That is resilience born from thought. A choice you made beneath the surface, before your body moved, before your actions spoke, in the quiet mind space where you decided you would not be defined by defeat, but by the willingness to rise. And this willingness can be trained like a muscle, strengthened with daily practice. And one powerful way to begin is by catching your automatic thoughts, the ones that spiral downward into despair, and gently shifting them toward curiosity and possibility, asking, what is this moment teaching me? Instead of, why is this happening to me? Because that subtle mental pivot rewires your brain to see storms as lessons rather than punishments. And over time, those new thought waves build an unshakable core that no circumstance can erode. And resilience through thought also means embracing your imperfections and failures as necessary parts of growth rather than signs of weakness. Because every setback contains a seed of insight if you're willing to look for it. And this mindset transforms challenges from walls into stepping stones, from obstacles into opportunities to deepen your self-trust. And when you build that trust in your mind, you unlock a reservoir of strength that fuels everything from relationships to career, from mental health to your sense of purpose. And the beautiful irony is that resilience is both deeply personal and profoundly contagious. Because when you hold your center firmly through life's storms, others around you feel safer, inspired, and empowered to stand strong themselves, creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what you can see. And so this chapter closes with a simple but powerful invitation. Take a moment right now to notice the thoughts you've been having about your struggles and challenges. And ask yourself, are these thoughts building my resilience or tearing it down? Then make a conscious choice to plant a seed of strength in your mind, a thought that says, I am capable of withstanding this. I am learning to be stronger every day, or this too shall pass, because the waves you send out today will become the foundation of your unshakable tomorrow. And the greatest power you have is not what happens to you, but how your mind meets it. Choose resilience, and you choose freedom. Chapter 18. From Chaos to Clarity. Have you ever felt like your mind is a stormy ocean? Waves crashing from every direction, thoughts swirling like a tornado inside your head, leaving you dizzy, overwhelmed, and desperate for a single point of calm. That moment when you can finally see clearly what to do next, instead of spinning in endless questions and what-ifs. Because chaos is the natural state of the mind when it is flooded with unfiltered emotions, racing thoughts, and unanswered fears, and yet, in that very chaos lies the seed of clarity waiting to be uncovered, often hidden beneath layers of noise we refuse to confront. Maybe it was after a sleepless night filled with worry, or a sudden life event that shook your foundation. Or perhaps a slow build of overwhelm where decisions piled up like a mountain too high to climb. And in those moments, clarity can seem impossible, yet it is always available, quietly calling you inward to listen, to breathe, and to witness your inner storm without judgment. Because clarity is not about controlling every detail or forcing order upon the chaos, but about learning to become the calm center in the eye of the storm, the silent observer who notices the waves but does not drown in them. And this chapter invites you to step into that calm by first embracing the chaos instead of fighting it, by accepting that your mind is messy, complex, and human. And that's okay, because trying to rush clarity or beat yourself up for feeling lost only adds more waves to your ocean. So instead, begin with a deep breath, a moment of stillness where you acknowledge your overwhelm and say, I see you, to your fear, your frustration, your confusion, because acceptance is the doorway to transformation. And from this place of witnessing, you can start to untangle your thoughts by asking powerful, gentle questions like, what part of this chaos am I holding on to out of habit, not necessity? What truths are buried beneath my fears? Which of my thoughts are actually mine and which come from outside noise, social expectations, or old wounds? And as you start peeling back these layers, clarity begins to emerge not as a sudden lightning strike, but as a gradual dawning, a soft light illuminating the path ahead, a quiet knowing that despite the noise, you are capable of navigating this moment. Because your mind waves have shifted from chaotic static to a steady frequency of intention and calm. And here's the secret. Clarity is always within reach when you stop chasing it outside yourself and turn your attention inward to the present moment where your true power lives. And as you learn to return to this place of calm presence again and again, your inner compass strengthens, your decisions become clearer, and your energy no longer dissipates in frantic spinning, but flows in purposeful waves toward your goals, healing, and growth. So remember, this chaos is not your enemy. It is your invitation to deeper clarity, greater self-awareness, and renewed power. And the transformation begins the moment you decide to stop resisting and start embracing the wild, messy beauty of your mind, asking yourself now, what is the smallest step I can take to create calm right here, right now? What clarity is waiting beneath my chaos that I have been too afraid or busy to see? And will I choose to be the calm, steady wave in this storm rather than be swept away by it? Chapter 19. Healing Emotional Wounds with Mind. Energy. There was a time in my life when pain lived quietly beneath the surface, like an invisible weight. A wound no one saw, but that shaped every decision, every relationship, every moment of fear or doubt. And maybe you carry similar wounds, old heartbreaks, betrayals, regrets that still echo in the recesses of your mind and body, quietly draining your energy and dimming your light. Yet what if I told you those wounds, no matter how deep or raw, are not a permanent sentence but an invitation? Because the mind holds incredible power to heal the emotional scars you believe define you. And this healing is not about ignoring or suppressing pain. It's about engaging with it consciously, with tenderness and presence, recognizing that every emotion, even the hardest grief or anger, is a wave in your mind's ocean that can be observed, felt, and transformed rather than fought or feared. And the first step toward healing is to create a sacred space within where your wounded parts are allowed to be seen and heard without judgment. Imagine that small space as a sanctuary where you become both witness and healer of your inner pain. A place where you can sit with your suffering as a trusted friend rather than an enemy. Because when you resist emotional pain, it festers, it grows. It traps your mind waves in low frequencies of fear and contraction. But when you welcome pain with compassion, you invite energy to flow, to shift, and to renew. And science now confirms what ancient wisdom has long known, that the mind's energy is not fixed but fluid, capable of rewiring neural pathways, changing brain chemistry, and releasing stuck emotional energy that causes suffering. So you have the power to reprogram your mind waves from trauma to healing by consciously choosing where you focus your attention, by breathing into your pain, and by telling yourself a new story of resilience and hope. And this does not mean erasing the past, but transforming your relationship to it, changing the mental frequencies you carry from I am broken to I am healing, from I am alone to I am supported, from I am powerless to I am becoming whole. And as you practice this, you will notice your emotional wounds begin to lose their grip, like clouds parting after a storm to reveal sunlight beneath. And this shift ripples beyond your inner world. Your energy changes, your relationships change, even your physical health improves, because unresolved emotional pain often manifests as tension, illness, or fatigue. But when mind energy flows freely, vitality returns, creativity ignites, and peace becomes your default state. So how do you start this healing journey today? Begin by simply acknowledging your pain. Name it, feel it, breathe it in without rushing to fix or escape, and then visualize your mind waves as gentle currents washing over the wound, carrying away debris of old stories and bringing fresh waves of acceptance and love. And remember, healing is not linear. Some days the pain may resurface fiercely, and that's okay. This is the mind's way of clearing blockages and deepening transformation. So be patient and kind to yourself as you learn to ride these waves rather than fight them. And the final truth to hold close is this: your emotional wounds do not diminish your power. They are portals to it, because every scar holds a story of survival and a lesson of strength. And when you transform your mind waves, you transform your life. So ask yourself now, in this very moment, what old pain am I ready to face with courage? And how can I begin to send healing energy to that place inside me? Because within your mind's vast ocean, the power to heal is always present, waiting for you to dive in and reclaim your wholeness. Chapter 20. The Power of Present Awareness. Have you ever caught yourself lost in a swirl of past regrets or future worries? So much so that the moment you're actually living slips silently past you, like a train rushing through a station you never truly entered, and you wonder, where did the day go? Why do I feel so drained and disconnected even when I was busy all day? That restless feeling, the mental chatter pulling you away from right here, right now, is the enemy of your mind's true power. Because the waves your mind sends out are strongest and most clear when anchored in the present, in the simple, sacred act of fully inhabiting the now. Yet so often, Our minds drift into stories about what went wrong or what might go wrong, like radio static drowning out the vital signal of life itself. And the truth is that true power, unshakable power, is born from present awareness, from learning to become a witness to your thoughts rather than a captive to them, to feel your emotions without drowning in them, to breathe into discomfort instead of running away. Because when you practice presence, you tap into the energy that transcends time, the deep well of calm, clarity, and intuition that resides beneath the surface noise of your mental waves. And in this space, the mind's chaotic chatter softens, the emotional waves settle, and you find yourself able to respond with wisdom rather than react from fear, able to make decisions rooted in your highest self instead of your most anxious impulses, and imagine what it would be like to walk through your day fully awake to your own experience, feeling the sunlight on your skin, hearing the subtle shifts in tone in a conversation, sensing the gentle rhythm of your breath as an anchor amidst the storms of the mind. Because present awareness is not about escaping your challenges. It's about meeting them with a grounded heart and a clear mind, about turning your attention to the only moment you ever truly have. And in that moment, finding power, healing, and choice. And while it sounds simple, it is one of the most radical, revolutionary acts you can commit to, because your culture celebrates doing, achieving, and planning, but often forgets that the mind's greatest power lives in its ability to rest fully in the present. And by cultivating this skill through practices like mindful breathing, gentle observation, or simply pausing throughout your day to check in with yourself, you begin to retrain your mind waves to broadcast calm, centered energy rather than scattered stress. And this shift is not about perfection or forcing quiet, but about becoming intimate with the rhythms of your own mind, noticing when you're caught in distraction or overwhelm, and gently guiding yourself back home to the present moment, where your inner power and peace reside. And the ripple effect of this is profound. Your relationships deepen as you listen more fully. Your creativity ignites as your mind finds space to breathe. Your resilience grows as you learn to meet discomfort with openness. And your overall sense of well-being expands because you are no longer living in fragmented moments, but fully inhabiting your life as it unfolds. And here is a practical invitation to anchor this power today. Pause 3 times in your next 24 hours and ask yourself, what am I experiencing right now? Where is my attention? How does my body feel? And answer with curiosity, without judgment, because this simple act of present awareness begins to rewire your mind waves, making them clearer, stronger, and more aligned with the life you desire. So, as you step forward, remember this essential truth. Your power is not found in chasing what's next, but in embracing what is. Because when you become present, you become unstoppable, and the waves you send out from this grounded, awakened place have the power to transform not only your world, but the world around you. And so, as you close this chapter, ask yourself, in this moment, right now, am I choosing to be fully here, fully alive, and fully powerful? Chapter 21. Navigating Fear with Inner Strength. There's a moment in everyone's life when fear creeps in like a shadow at dusk, soft but undeniable. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, the unknown, or even fear of success itself. And you might feel it now, a tightening in your chest, a hesitation in your step, an invisible barrier whispering, "Stop, don't go there." And yet within that very fear lies an invitation, a secret pathway to discovering your deepest inner strength, because fear is not the enemy. It's a messenger, a primal signal wired into your nervous system to protect you. But what modern life often forgets is that fear, when understood and embraced rather than avoided, can become the compass that guides you toward growth and transformation. And the first step in navigating fear is to acknowledge it fully, not to resist, not to deny, but to lean into it with curiosity, asking, What exactly am I afraid of? And what story am I telling myself about this fear? Because most fears are wrapped in stories we've learned to believe. Stories that can be rewritten once we see them clearly. And I want you to imagine fear like an ocean wave. It rises up, towering and powerful, threatening to pull you under. But if you resist with panic, you drown. If you ride it with awareness and trust, you glide to the shore stronger and transformed. And inner strength is the surfboard you build through practice, through mindfulness, breath, self-compassion, and remembering that fear does not define you. It's just a feeling, a passing wave in the vast sea of your consciousness. And I know that when fear shows up, it often demands silence, isolation, and shrinking away. But what if you chose instead to lean into community, to speak your fear aloud, to find those who have walked this path before, and to see yourself reflected in their courage? Because vulnerability is not weakness. It is the wellspring of strength, and admitting fear creates space for courage to enter. And you don't have to be fearless to be strong. You only need to face fear with a heart open enough to say, I am here, and I will not be ruled by you. And the power of this approach is life-changing. When you learn to sit with fear without judgment, to breathe through its grip, to name it, and then take small, deliberate steps forward despite its presence, you rewire your nervous system to no longer react with freeze or flee, but with grounded resilience. And this rewiring changes the story you tell yourself about what you're capable of, turning I can't into I'm learning, turning this is too much into I'm enough for this. Because true inner strength is not about never feeling fear. It's about moving forward even when fear is there, trusting that you have the resources inside you to navigate the waves. And this chapter's heart is this truth. Your fear is not a wall but a doorway, a challenge that asks you to show up fully, to stretch your limits, and to find the fierce softness of your soul standing tall even in uncertainty. So today, as you breathe in, ask yourself, what fear is whispering to me right now? And how can I meet it not with resistance, but with radical acceptance and strength? And what is one small, brave step I can take to move through it and into a fuller, freer life? Because your mind waves of power include the courage to face fear and the grace to rise beyond it, making you unstoppable in your growth and radiant in your freedom. Chapter 22. Elevating your mindset daily. Imagine waking up each morning and stepping into your day with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that no matter what storms rage outside, the real weather to master is the climate within your mind. Because elevating your mindset daily is not some magical secret reserved for gurus or the lucky few. It's a deliberate, ongoing practice, a choice you make the moment you open your eyes. And too often we underestimate this simple truth. Getting caught in autopilot loops of negativity, worry, or exhaustion, as if our thoughts and emotions are uncontrollable waves crashing us under. But what if you could become the lighthouse, steady and strong, that transforms the crashing waves into rolling ripples, calm and purposeful, and that begins with the small habits that set the tone for your mind each day, like choosing what you feed it before the chaos of the outside world hits. Deciding which voices you invite in, whether from social media, news, or even the people around you, because your mindset is the lens through which every experience passes, coloring the reality you live in with shades of possibility or limitation. And the truth is, your daily mindset is the foundation for every choice, every relationship, every goal, and every moment of peace or stress you experience. So elevating your mindset daily means stepping into conscious awareness and saying, today, I will refuse to let old patterns dictate my reactions. And this is no small feat, especially when life's challenges scream louder than your quiet intentions. But here's the gift. Mindset elevation isn't about erasing struggle. It's about how you respond, how you pause before reacting, How you catch that first thought and decide whether it serves your highest good or drags you deeper into doubt. And it's about creating a morning ritual that anchors you a few moments of stillness, gratitude, or intention setting that remind your brain what matters before the noise begins. Like tuning a musical instrument before the symphony starts, because when you do this daily, you create momentum, rewiring your brain's neural pathways toward resilience, optimism, and clarity, which changes how you perceive setbacks from insurmountable walls to temporary puzzles to solve, how you treat yourself from harsh critic to compassionate coach, and how you see your future from a foggy doubt to a bright horizon filled with possibility. And the power of this daily elevation is cumulative. It grows like a muscle the more you practice, eventually making you naturally inclined to look for solutions rather than problems, for lessons rather than failures, for growth rather than comfort zones. And as your mindset lifts, so does your energy, your creativity, and your ability to influence those around you in subtle but powerful ways, because mindset is contagious. And when you elevate your own, you elevate your entire environment, inspiring others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positivity and progress. And this doesn't require grand, overwhelming changes. Often it's the small daily choices, what you read, what you listen to, how you frame your self-talk, how you treat your body and mind, that set the tone for your elevation. So start by asking yourself each morning, what mindset do I want to carry today? And what one thought will empower me to step into my best self? And then guard those answers fiercely throughout your day, because every moment you invest in elevating your mindset is a moment you invest in your freedom, your growth, and your unshakable light. And as you continue this practice, you will find that challenges don't disappear, but your capacity to face them grows exponentially. Your resilience becomes a natural rhythm, and your inner voice grows louder than the noise of doubt. So your daily mindset elevation becomes a sacred ritual, a quiet declaration that you are the architect of your experience, the master of your mind waves, and the unstoppable force behind your life's unfolding story. And as you close this chapter, I leave you with this. How will you elevate your mindset tomorrow morning? And how will that choice ripple into every moment that follows? Chapter 23. The Spiritual Side of Mind Power. Have you ever felt a deep knowing? An invisible current beneath your thoughts and emotions that connects you to something greater than yourself. A quiet presence that seems to whisper truths when the world grows loud and chaotic. And this is the spiritual dimension of mind power. The unseen energy that flows through your consciousness, weaving the tangible and the intangible into a seamless tapestry of experience. Because beyond neurons, firing and chemical reactions, your mind is a gateway to spiritual awakening. And when you tap into this sacred side of your mental energy, you begin to realize that your thoughts are not isolated events, but threads in a cosmic web of meaning and connection, where intention acts as a prayer, and focus becomes a form of meditation that shapes your reality. But for many, spirituality feels like a distant concept, cloaked in ritual or doctrine, or reserved for the mystics and monks. Yet the spiritual side of mind power is accessible to anyone willing to slow down and listen, to step beyond the frantic surface of everyday thinking and dive into the stillness where wisdom, intuition, and unconditional love reside. And I want to share a story of a woman named Maya who spent years chasing external success jobs, relationships, validation, only to find herself exhausted, disconnected, and hollow inside, until one evening, sitting quietly by a river, she let go of the struggle to control and simply listened to the flow of her breath and the rustle of leaves. And in that moment, she felt her mind waves harmonize with the gentle pulse of nature, a deep peace washing over her like a balm, teaching her that true power is not about pushing harder, but about aligning with the flow of life itself. And this is the essence of spiritual mind power, not domination, but surrender. Not forcing outcomes, but co-creating with the universe's infinite intelligence, where your inner dialogue becomes a sacred mantra, where you choose thoughts that uplift rather than imprison, where you acknowledge your fears and doubts with compassion, but refuse to be defined by them. And the spiritual side of mind power invites you to see yourself as more than a thinker, more than a problem solver, but as a conscious creator, a vessel of light, an eternal being experiencing a human journey. And as you cultivate this perspective, your mental energy transforms, shifting from scattered worry to focused intention, from resistance to acceptance, from fragmentation to wholeness. And scientific studies now confirm what ancient wisdom has long known, that meditation, prayer, gratitude, and mindful presence can literally change your brain waves, lowering stress and opening pathways to joy and clarity. And when you tune your mind waves to these higher frequencies, you begin to magnetize experiences, relationships, and opportunities that resonate with your soul's purpose. Yet embracing the spiritual side of mind power does not mean abandoning logic or ignoring practical realities. It means integrating your inner world with your outer actions, grounding your dreams in daily habits, and recognizing that every thought you nurture is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your life's garden. So you become the gardener, choosing what to water and what to let fall away, and this is both a science and a sacred art. A dance between mind and spirit that invites you to awaken to your full potential, to remember that the waves you send out ripple far beyond your personal life, touching those around you in ways you cannot always see. And so as you develop this spiritual awareness, you also deepen your compassion, your empathy, your ability to forgive yourself and others, because you understand that all humans are navigating their own waves of power, often unaware of the gifts and shadows they carry. And here is the question that holds the doorway to your next level. How can I invite the spiritual side of my mind to guide me today, to soften my judgments, expand my vision, and strengthen my courage to create a life aligned with my deepest truth? This is an invitation to step into the quiet mystery inside you, to trust the unseen currents that have been guiding you all along, and to choose, moment by moment, to flow with the infinite power of your mind and spirit as one. Chapter 24. The Quiet Revolution Within. Have you ever noticed how the most profound revolutions rarely explode with noise or fire, but begin quietly, as a small shift inside one person's heart and mind, like a seed breaking through hard soil, unnoticed yet unstoppable? Because true transformation starts not with grand gestures, but with the soft, steady revolution happening within when you choose to wake up to your inner power, refuse to stay trapped in old patterns, and begin to rewrite the story you tell yourself every day about who you are and what you're capable of. And this quiet revolution within you is the most radical act you can commit, for it defies the loud voices of fear, doubt, and conformity that have shaped generations. It is the whisper that grows louder until it drowns out the chaos of external expectations. And the revolution begins when you start to reclaim your mind waves, the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that you've allowed to run unchecked, and realize that your inner landscape is fertile ground for new possibilities. When you consciously choose to release limiting narratives that say, "I am not enough," "I am too broken," or "this is just how life is," and instead nurture seeds of courage, self-compassion, and unwavering faith in your own capacity to heal and grow. Because the quiet revolution is not about tearing down everything overnight, but about steady dismantling of what no longer serves you. Moment by moment, thought by thought, decision by decision, and as you cultivate awareness of your inner mind waves, you begin to notice subtle shifts, a softening of old fears, a growing trust in your intuition, a blossoming of resilience that feels like an unshakable calm beneath life's storms. And while the world outside might still seem chaotic, The revolution inside you builds a sanctuary of peace, power, and possibility that no external circumstance can shake. And here's the beautiful truth. This quiet revolution transforms not only your life, but radiates outward, touching your relationships, your work, your dreams, and your very presence in the world. Because when you embody this inner change, you become a lighthouse for others still lost in the storm. A living example that transformation is possible without fanfare, without waiting for permission, without needing to prove anything to anyone except yourself. And this revolution asks only one thing of you: to show up daily, with radical honesty and fierce kindness, to listen deeply to your mind's waves, to embrace your shadows as much as your light, and to trust that every small act of self-love and self-awareness is a powerful step toward freedom. So today, as you move through your life, ask yourself, what part of my quiet revolution am I ready to claim now? And how can I nurture this change to ripple outward, creating not just a new story for myself, but a new energy for the world around me? Because the greatest revolutions don't always roar. They whisper. They rise from the quiet. Power of a mind awakened, and the revolution is already inside you, waiting for you to turn and see it. Chapter 25. Mastering Your Emotional Waves. Imagine standing on the shore of a vast ocean, watching the waves rise and fall, some gentle and calming, others crashing with overwhelming force, and realize that your emotions are much like those waves, powerful currents that shape the entire landscape of your inner world, sometimes lifting you to heights of joy and connection, and other times dragging you into depths of fear, anger, or sadness. And yet, most of us live as though we are tossed around by these emotional waves helplessly, as if we are leaves caught in a storm, reacting to whatever comes without pause, without control, without a sense that we can master the tides within us. But what if I told you that mastering your emotional waves is not about suppressing feelings or pretending everything is fine, but about learning to surf those waves with awareness, grace, and intention, so that instead of being overwhelmed, you become a conscious pilot of your emotional energy, guiding it to serve your highest good. And it begins with the truth that emotions are not enemies to be feared or denied, but messengers carrying vital information about your needs, boundaries, and values. And when you can listen deeply to what your emotions are telling you, without judgment or resistance, you start to reclaim your power from emotional chaos. Because emotional mastery is born in that sacred space between feeling and response, where you pause, breathe, and choose how to move rather than being swept away automatically. And this is the art of becoming fluent in your own emotional language, recognizing the subtle shifts from irritation to anger, from sadness to despair, from anxiety to overwhelm, and allowing yourself to fully experience these states briefly before deciding how to act, which might mean setting a boundary, reaching out for support, or simply sitting with the discomfort without needing to fix it right away. And here's the paradox. True mastery doesn't come from controlling or eliminating emotions, but from befriending them, learning to ride their waves rather than fight them. And this begins with self-compassion. Because when you respond to your emotional waves with kindness rather than criticism, you create safety within yourself, and safety is the soil where healing and transformation take root. So instead of beating yourself up for feeling anxious or angry, you say, I see you. You are part of me, and I will care for you. And as you deepen this relationship with your emotions, you notice how much less power they have to hijack your decisions or cloud your clarity. And you start to build emotional resilience, the ability to recover quickly from emotional dips without losing your center. And resilience grows as you practice mindful presence, grounding techniques, and intentional reflection. So when a wave hits, whether it's the sting of criticism, the pull of jealousy, or the weight of grief, you meet it with steady breath and conscious awareness, acknowledging the wave but refusing to let it crash your entire life. And this process transforms your nervous system, rewiring habitual reactions into conscious responses, shifting your entire experience from reactive suffering to empowered living. And the beautiful secret is that mastering your emotional waves doesn't mean you become emotionless or detached. It means you become more deeply alive, more connected to your own truth, and more capable of experiencing joy, love, and peace without the constant roller coaster of emotional overwhelm. As you ride these waves skillfully, you will find your relationships deepen, your stress lessens, and your inner voice grows louder and clearer, reminding you who you truly are beyond the storm. And so I invite you now to start this practice with a simple exercise. The next time you feel an intense emotion rising, pause and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What need is beneath it? How can I meet myself with kindness in this moment? And remember, mastery is not perfection, but commitment to presence, to curiosity, and to self-love even when the waves feel wild. And as you develop this skill, you will discover that your emotional waves no longer feel like a battleground but a sacred dance, an intimate conversation between your heart and soul. And mastering your emotional waves will unlock a deeper power within you, a power that transforms not just your mind but your entire being, allowing you to live with a grounded confidence that no external storm can shake. So ask yourself now, am I ready to stop surviving my emotions and start mastering their power to create a life of balance, clarity, and freedom? Chapter 26. Creating Momentum with Thought. Have you ever noticed how sometimes life feels like a heavy tide holding you down, making every step forward feel like a battle against invisible resistance? And then other times, everything flows effortlessly, like the current has turned in your favor, carrying you with ease toward your goals. And that difference, that sudden shift from struggle to flow, often begins with a single thought, a tiny spark that sets the entire momentum in motion. Because momentum isn't just about physical action or external circumstances. It is fundamentally an energetic force created by the quality and consistency of your thoughts. And yet most of us underestimate how the mind's waves can build or break momentum before our bodies even move, as if our mental state is the unseen engine powering everything we do, or the silent brake holding us back. And let me take you back to a story I've seen over and over. A young artist struggling for years to get her work noticed, stuck in cycles of self-doubt and procrastination, feeling like the world's weight was pressing on her dreams, until one day, she decided to commit not just to working on her art, but to cultivating a daily thought practice where she deliberately visualized small successes, repeated affirmations of worthiness, and rewired her inner narrative from "I can't" to "I am capable." And that simple, consistent shift in thought patterns created a mental momentum that spilled into her actions. She showed up more often, took risks, connected authentically, and soon, that momentum attracted new opportunities that had seemed impossible before, proving that momentum begins as a thought wave, building unseen energy before it manifests physically. So if you want to create lasting momentum in your life, the first place to look is inside your mind, noticing what thoughts you feed, how often you revisit doubts or fears, and what new, empowering thoughts you choose to nurture. Because momentum is like a snowball rolling down a hill, growing larger and faster with each turn. And your thoughts are the gentle push that starts it all. But it's not about forcing or rushing. It's about steady, intentional energy, a deliberate choice to focus on what empowers rather than what drains, to choose thoughts that inspire curiosity, faith, and action instead of fear, hesitation, and resistance. And here is the truth that can transform your approach. Momentum thrives in clarity and commitment, not perfection. So you don't need to know every step or have a flawless plan. You only need to decide where you want to go and consistently direct your thoughts and energy toward that direction. Because the mind is an incredible force amplifier when aligned with purpose and nurtured with positive mental waves. It fuels your motivation, sharpens your focus, and expands your resilience, allowing you to keep moving forward even when external results are slow to appear. And this is where many people stumble. They wait for motivation to appear before acting, not realizing that momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. So the practice you can begin today is simple yet powerful. Commit to feeding your mind daily with thoughts that build momentum, whether through visualization, journaling, affirmations, or simply choosing one empowering thought in moments of doubt, and watch how this consistent mental energy shifts your entire experience. And as you build this momentum, remember to celebrate even the smallest wins, because each success, no matter how tiny, adds fuel to your mental wave, creating an upward spiral of confidence and possibility. And sometimes momentum takes the shape of patience, teaching you to trust the invisible flow beneath the surface. When results seem slow, because the mind's waves don't always show immediate effects, but over time, they create powerful currents that carry you forward. So your question as you step into this chapter's challenge is, what small thought or belief can I choose today that will start the snowball rolling? And how can I nurture that momentum daily to become unstoppable in my journey? The power to create momentum lies within your mind. Waves tune them wisely, and you will find yourself effortlessly moving toward the life you envision. Chapter 27. The Mirror of Your Mind. Have you ever caught yourself reacting to someone or a situation with such intensity that later you wondered, why did that affect me so deeply? And then realized it was less about them and more about something unresolved inside you, because the truth is, the world around you is a mirror reflecting the landscape of your mind, where every judgment, every praise, every frustration, and every joy is bounced back from the inner space you carry within. And this mirror doesn't lie or sugarcoat. It reveals what you hold inside, often showing you the parts you avoid or deny. And it's easy to blame others for our pain or dissatisfaction. But real transformation begins when you stop looking outward and start looking inward with radical honesty and compassion, understanding that the qualities you admire or despise in others are echoes of your own internal world. So when you feel triggered by someone's arrogance, it's often a shadow of your own insecurities craving recognition. Or when you envy someone's success, it might reveal a part of you that has given up on your own dreams. And this is not a call for harsh self-judgment, but a tender invitation to use these reflections as clues to your growth. Because the mirror of your mind is not meant to imprison you in guilt or shame, but to free you by illuminating what needs healing, loving, and releasing. And this process takes courage, patience, and the willingness to face yourself without running or hiding behind excuses. For example, imagine a time when you felt a surge of anger towards someone's criticism and how that moment exposed your deep fear of not being enough. Or when you admired someone's calm presence and realized it showed the chaotic noise inside you longing for peace. And as you practice holding the mirror up to your mind with kindness, you begin to see patterns, how your thoughts create emotions, how your emotions influence actions, and how actions, repeated over time, create your reality. So the question shifts from what's wrong with them to what's happening inside me. And in that shift, your power expands because you reclaim control over your inner narrative instead of letting external circumstances dictate your peace. And here is the greatest gift. When you change the way you see yourself through this mirror, the world outside changes its reflection, and relationships, opportunities, and even challenges transform in response to your new inner frequency. So learning to work with the mirror of your mind means becoming a student of your own reflections, listening deeply to what they reveal about your beliefs, your fears, your hopes, and your true essence. And it means practicing daily the art of gentle self-awareness, asking, what is this moment showing me about myself? Instead of reacting with blame or defensiveness. And with time, you begin to realize that every interaction is an opportunity to learn, to heal, and to grow, because the mind's mirror reflects not just what is, but what could be. And when you meet your reflection with love and courage, you become the artist of your own life, painting new stories with colors of resilience, grace, and power. So as you close this chapter, ask yourself, what reflections have been showing up in my life lately, and how can I use them as a compass to guide me closer to my true self? Chapter 28. Living as a creator, not a reactor. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to feel like life is happening to you? Like you're a leaf tossed around by winds you can't control, reacting instinctively to every unexpected gust of emotion, circumstance, or opinion, and maybe you've caught yourself snapping in anger, retreating in fear, or spiraling into overwhelm simply because it felt like the only option in that moment. And that's the life of a reactor, constantly responding to external triggers, exhausted by the unpredictability of the world, and living with the illusion that you have little say in your own story. But imagine instead waking up each day with the clarity and calm power of a creator, someone who chooses their response before the world asks for it, someone who sets the tone and energy that others tune into, rather than merely reacting to theirs. Because living as a creator is not about controlling everything. It's about mastering your inner world so profoundly that external chaos no longer pulls your strings. And here's the truth. You already have this power inside you, but it's been buried under years of conditioned reflex, automatic fear responses, and the habit of letting your mind default to fight, flight, or freeze. So the first step to reclaiming your creator's life is to become the silent witness to your reactions, to catch yourself before you react, to breathe deeply and ask, is this response serving me, or am I giving my power away? And that pause, that space you create, is your moment of freedom, because it interrupts the automatic pilot and lets you choose consciously. And when you do, you realize that your energy no longer depends on the chaos outside, but on the stillness within, and this shift ripples outward. Your conversations become clearer, your decisions become wiser, your relationships become deeper, and your resilience grows. Because creators understand that they are not victims of circumstance, but active participants in their life's unfolding. And this is a radical mindset, especially in a world that prizes reactivity, drama, and constant stimulus. But it's also a path to peace and power that few discover. And perhaps the most profound secret of living as a creator is embracing that. You do not have to wait for the perfect conditions to step into your power. You can choose to create right now, in this imperfect moment, by deciding how you respond to what life throws at you, by setting boundaries with kindness and firmness, by speaking your truth even when your voice shakes, and by leaning into discomfort rather than running from it. And when you practice this daily, you build a new neurological pathway, a mind trained to meet challenge with curiosity instead of fear, to see setbacks as signals instead of punishments, and to become the source of your own energy rather than the drain. And living as a creator is not about denying emotions or pretending life is always perfect. It's about acknowledging your feelings, giving them space, and choosing what you do with them, rather than letting them dictate your actions. And so the question becomes, what story will you tell yourself today about who you are in relation to your world? Will you be the one who simply reacts to the waves crashing around you? Or will you become the ocean itself, vast, deep, and calm beneath the storm, shaping the waves rather than being shaped by them? And this isn't just poetic, this is practical. Power that rewires your entire experience, unlocking a sense of freedom that no external circumstance can take away. Because your power as a creator is your ultimate sovereignty. Your ability to design your inner life regardless of outer chaos. And as you live more and more from this place, you'll notice a magnetic shift. The people you need will find you. Opportunities will open as if guided by unseen hands, and your sense of purpose will sharpen into a beacon that guides you through uncertainty. And your legacy will no longer be one of reaction, but of intentional creation. And so today, I invite you to step off the roller coaster of reaction and onto the ground of creation, to catch your impulse before it controls you, to breathe into that space and ask yourself, how can I respond from power instead of reaction? Because in that choice lies your true freedom. And when you live as a creator, you are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the pilot, the artist, the author, and the wave maker. And that is the greatest power you hold. Chapter 29. Sustaining High-Frequency Living. Have you ever noticed how it's easy to feel energized, inspired, and powerful in the first rush of a new habit, a fresh mindset, or an exciting goal, but then weeks or months later, that vibrant energy can fade, leaving you drained, doubting, or slipping back into old patterns? And if you're honest, you might be wondering why sustaining high-frequency living, staying in that elevated mental, emotional, and spiritual state feels so elusive, as if it requires some superhuman effort you don't have. But what if the secret to sustaining that radiant frequency isn't about pushing harder, chasing more, or trying to maintain perfection, but instead about weaving a set of simple, soulful practices and awareness into your daily life that honor your true rhythms and humanity? Because sustaining high-frequency living means embracing your full self, the light and the shadows, the peaks and the valleys, and it's in that acceptance that true power emerges, a power that doesn't depend on external circumstances but springs from an inner alignment so deep it becomes your default state. So you no longer need to get to a high vibration, you just live it naturally, gently, and authentically. And here's the truth. This kind of living requires you to become an alchemist of your daily experience, transforming small moments of resistance, fatigue, or doubt into opportunities to reconnect with your source of power. Because every choice you make, from the foods you eat to the people you surround yourself with, from the thoughts you nurture to the boundaries you set, either fuels your frequency or drains it. And the challenge lies in learning to discern what sustains you and what depletes you without judgment but with clear intention. So sustaining high-frequency living is not a destination, but a dynamic dance where you continuously listen to your inner waves, adjust your energy, and practice compassion when you inevitably stumble. And it also means creating sacred spaces, both external and internal, where you can recharge, reflect, and realign, whether that's a quiet morning ritual, a walk in nature, journaling your gratitude, or simply pausing to breathe deeply during chaos, because these pauses become your anchors, your reset buttons, allowing your mind waves to ripple back into harmony rather than breaking into turbulent storms. And you learn to trust the ebb and flow of your energy rather than resist it, knowing that sometimes low frequency is necessary rest and that cycles of renewal fuel your long-term power. So rather than beating yourself up for moments of fatigue or distraction, you extend kindness to yourself, understanding that sustaining high-frequency living is about resilience, not relentless hustle, and it requires boundaries that protect your time and energy from being siphoned off by distractions, toxic relationships, or endless shoulds that pull you away from your truth. Because when you guard your mental and emotional space, you create fertile soil where your highest self can grow. And that growth shows up in everything, in how you carry yourself, the clarity you bring to decisions, the way you attract abundance and joy, and how you inspire others by simply being your consistent, radiant self. And yes, sustaining high-frequency living also means practicing gratitude daily, not as a chore, but as a powerful, energetic practice that rewires your mind to focus on what's working, what's possible, and what's already abundant in your life. And this gratitude becomes a fuel that powers your mind waves, lifting you even when circumstances feel tough. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes to live in a state of ease and flow, rather than resistance and struggle. And as you build these habits, mindful awareness, compassionate self-care, clear boundaries, gratitude, and embracing the natural rhythms of life, you create a momentum that sustains your high-frequency state, not only during moments of joy, but also through challenges, setbacks, and transitions. Because true power is not about being perfect or always on, but about showing up fully, repeatedly, and lovingly, no matter what. And the deeper truth is that sustaining high-frequency living is a lifelong journey of self-discovery and commitment to your inner truth. And as you continue this path, you will notice your mind waves ripple farther and wider, influencing not just your own life, but the lives of everyone around you, becoming a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs it. And so, as you close this chapter and prepare to carry this wisdom into your daily living, I leave you with this question. What daily practice can I commit to right now that honors my energy, nurtures my soul, and helps me sustain the radiant, powerful frequency that is my birthright? Chapter 30. Becoming the wave of power. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, feeling the raw, unstoppable energy of the waves crashing around you, knowing that within those waves lies both creation and destruction, the power to reshape coastlines and carve new paths through stone. And now picture yourself as that wave, an immense force of nature, not at the mercy of the world, but a vital, conscious participant shaping your reality with every pulse of your mind. Because becoming the wave of power means no longer drifting aimlessly on the tides of circumstance or allowing old fears and doubts to dictate your journey. It means learning to generate your own momentum, to harness the energy of your thoughts, emotions, and intentions to propel you forward with fierce clarity and steady grace. And this transformation begins when you fully accept that you are not a victim of external events, but the source of your internal landscape, where every thought ripples outward, every belief shifts the current, and every choice guides the direction of your life's flow. So instead of resisting change or fearing the unknown, you become the creator of change, embracing uncertainty as the ocean embraces the sky, with openness and trust. And the power you cultivate is not about control or domination, but about alignment, aligning your mind waves with your deepest values, your true purpose, and the highest version of yourself. Because a wave that fights against the current wastes energy, but a wave that moves with purpose flows endlessly, shaping everything it touches with intention and love. And as you cultivate this inner wave of power, you realize that you are connected to something greater than yourself, a vast ocean of collective energy where your personal power merges with the universal force that animates all life. And this connection deepens your sense of responsibility, not as a burden, but as an invitation to rise with compassion, courage, and creative force. Because the most powerful waves are those that lift others as they rise, inspiring, healing, and transforming the world around them. And so your journey to becoming the wave of power is not just about personal success or spiritual growth. It is about awakening the part of you that knows your impact matters, that your light can break through the darkest storms, and that your resilience can inspire entire communities. And you step fully into this role when you embrace your imperfections as part of your power, when you allow your vulnerabilities to fuel your courage, and when you hold space for both strength and softness within yourself. Knowing that true power is born from balance, presence, and authenticity. And as you embody this wave, you no longer wait for permission or external validation. You create your own frequency, your own path, and your own legacy, driven by an unshakable belief in the potential of your mind's energy to transform not only your life, but ripple outward to transform the lives of others. And so today, as you close this journey through the mind waves of power, ask yourself, am I ready to become the wave that shapes my destiny and the destiny of the world? To move beyond fear and hesitation, to lead with heart and clarity, and to leave behind a legacy of unstoppable energy and inspired action. Because the ocean waits for no one, but the wave that knows its power moves with grace, impact, and unbreakable will. And now, it is your time to rise, to flow, and to become the unstoppable wave of power you were born to be.